The Scottish Legends Championship at Knockhill Racing Circuit sees us on track for the Saturday final at their final event weekend. Cars lined up, getting ready to go as they make their way from the pit lane onto the track. The grid has Alistair Calderwood on pole from Glen Burtonshaw with Ben McNeice and Elby Clark. Scott Smith and Mark French line up alongside each other, and Scott Smith gunning for a team championship here, along with various other people like Ryan McLeish and Stuart Black going head to head for the main championship this weekend. Making their way around the hairpin, a very, very strong field of Scottish legends. 22 cars here this weekend starting, and right at the back, new man Michael Weddle steps over from the Scottish Mini Cooper Cup, and he is in Legends for 2024, just sampling 2023. A nice controlled start from Calderwood and Burtonshaw as they come up towards the lights. Lights out and away we go, down towards Duffus Dip for the first time of asking. And lovely conditions here on the Saturday as we head in towards turn number one. All the legends head for the apex, and it's a lovely manoeuvre from Burtonshaw, who gets himself to the front in the ex-Gerard McCosh car. Lovely, lovely to see that car back at the front of a Legends race as they all make their way down from McIntyre's in towards the dip at Butchers and then up to the chicane. Max Popliushku a little bit wide there as he went down through Butchers. Managing to control that on their way up towards chicane as everybody streamed through for the first time of asking. Thankfully, everybody's still on track, but Burtonshaw, McNeice, round and in towards the gravel. Ben McNeice, now, was he pushed or did he jump? That's something that looked very close here. Ben McNeice into the gravel on the inside. Here comes Ryan McLeish around Scott Smith, and that's very much a tight manoeuvre there with Brent Bowie in the middle of that as well. Ryan McLeish starting to get himself up towards the front. Let's look and see where Stuart Black is. There he is in the mid-pack behind the luminous yellow car of Chris Dewey as we get a nod from the man with the beard on the pit wall. That's a very sporting beard he's got there as McLeish goes towards the front and takes the lead from Glen Burtonshaw going through Duffus Dip. Ryan McLeish, a man who has been on form, and Brent Bowie up the inside very fast, manages to keep that one on track as they come through there though. In the number 46 car, that was a bit of a manoeuvre from Brent Bowie there. He very much had that one wound up, and Glen Burtonshaw in flux with the edge of the curb at the chicane, and that's allowing Scott Smith to come up the inside of him, and through goes Scott Smith. Lovely stuff there to get Scott Smith up to third place overall. Can we see Scott Smith on a podium in this Legends final? He's got Glen Burtonshaw though all over the back of him in towards the hairpin in the ex-Gerard McCosh car. Glen round the outside and wipes the nose of Scott Smith. Lovely, lovely manoeuvre there from the number 72 car, the maroon burgundy car of Glen Burtonshaw, getting ahead of Scott Smith. We look for Stuart Black, he's still deep in the pack. There's Ryan McLeish, Brent Bowie, Scott Smith, Burtonshaw all off the end of the Clark's exit curb and then round towards the hairpin. Then there's a big gap back, or a big battling pack, sorry, back, the gap back. That's Pino Palazzo with Max Popliushku up the inside there of car number 15, which is Elby Clark, the teammate and partner, we should say, the better half actually, of Dan Clark, who's in this race in car 14. Dan suffering a little bit as it goes along though, the car not firing on all four cylinders. That's a kind of term, it actually is firing all four cylinders, but it's just not on song today in this race as we get the guys all over the crest of Duffus Dip. Elby Clark a little bit wide there at the crest of Duffus Dip, or was that Dan Clark actually? That could have been Elby. Yes, it was Elby and Dan now together. There's Stuart Black though, car number 52. He's managed to work his way through the pack. I believe it's too much of a gap now to catch up towards Ryan McLeish, who's going through Clark's, as Stuart Black and Max Popliushku side by side up that back straight in towards Clark corner. As much as he wants to catch up with Ryan McLeish, Stuart Black a little bit further back, and it's not looking like it's going to happen as they come into the hairpin. Look at this, Scott Smith side by side, but almost like he breaks a little bit earlier for Brent Bowie there. Just gives Brent that little bit of a breathing space to go through. And Pino Palazzo, teammate to Ryan McLeish in the number 75 car, now with his sights set on the back of the 3-cylinder water-cooled engine that Max Popliushku runs in that Cresta Racing number 95 car. As they all make their way round Duffus Dip, lots of smoke, lots of cheering in the background, and it's all for this man here, Ryan McLeish. Look at that beautiful little drift through the apex of McIntyre's, and then Brent Bowie again fending off Scott Smith, and Scott having a look as they go down the dip and in towards chicane. This really is a good battle just now. Great showing from Brent Bowie so far. Scott Smith trying to come back up inside. Brent tries to close the door and he does so. Defends on the way, and will that make him lame on the way through the corner? Yes, it does. He goes very wide and he loses not one, but he's going to lose 2 positions, possibly 3, as they come round towards the hairpin, because yes, Stuart Black has also got past now. Stuart Black tries to come round and made that look very, very easy on Scott Smith, I've got to say. Scott Smith slides in towards the back now, tries to get the slipstream up the hill there, but what a manoeuvre that was from Stuart Black as they come up over the crest of the hill. Underneath the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge they go. Brent Bowie now has work to do. He's got to try and get back past Burtonshaw and try and get back onto the rear end of Scott Smith if he can. But it's not looking too easy just now as they make their way down and into that twisty McIntyre's area. We've got very much Scott Hines in the middle of that battle as well now. So Scott Hines having a good run this weekend on the Saturday in these lovely sunny conditions that we have at Knockhill for the Scottish Legends Cars Championship. A very, very strong field, as we have mentioned, of legend cars. There goes Stuart Black with Scott Smith looking quite safe now and possibly on for a podium position here as he holds off Glenn Burtonshaw. But then we've got this battle coming in behind right now, and it's now very much Pino Palazzo on the outside of Scott Hines. Hines is on the inside. Here comes Brent Bowie to try and go through, and Pino Palazzo, that was always going to be tight, but it wasn't going to work. And Dan Clark now in number 14 very much in the mix as well, side by side up over the crest of the hill. Dan Clark looks like he's got past Brent Bowie as he go underneath the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge, and he has. And Burtonshaw round the outside, big manoeuvre from Glenn Burtonshaw to go round the outside of Scott Smith, and he holds that by the time they get down to McIntyre's, which is turn 3. So Glenn Burtonshaw not finished with this one yet, really threw that one across the nose of Scott Smith going in towards Duffus, but Scott Smith looks stronger through the chicane. Burtonshaw can see that and defends in towards Clark Corner, and that will leave him a little bit susceptible to Scott Smith on the exit of the corner. What can Scott Smith do here as he picks up the toe and they head round towards the hairpin? Smith goes to the right, comes back towards the left, which puts him on the wrong side for the hairpin. But can he be brave on the brakes here, or will he just be clever about this and try and get a good run up the hill? Because you can see Hines, Palazzo and Clark all homing in towards that as well, and you've got to put Brent Bowie in the middle of that one as well. Remember, at the front of this race, Ryan McLeish has gone and checked out. He is in number 71 and away at the front. And then we have got Stuart Black with the rest of the battling pack. Scott Smith now ahead of Glenn Burtonshaw once again. And Smith looks like he's starting to pull away there. A little bit keen on the brakes to start with Scott Smith. Slows the car down really, really quickly. And that does let Glenn Burtonshaw get alongside him nice and early. Now, who's got the more power? As they go up the straight, Smith manages to just hold off a little bit of Glenn Burtonshaw as they go over the crest of the hill and back in towards Duffus Dip for this classic legend racing. A little bit of smoke coming out the cars on the overrun now as they make their way down. Somebody deciding that, well, they want to go down there. That would be the Mark Beattie line, and for Mark Beattie that's more than fine, as long as you don't do it more than once. He takes the escape road down Duffus Dip there. Oh, Bill Reid round in a circle. Bill Reid goes round in a circle in number 333. And that's a very much un-Bill Reid manoeuvre. One of our visitors who comes up from south of the border for every single Legends race. But it's all about this man at the front, Ryan McLeish. As he comes up to take the checker flag, he will be delighted with that one. Stuart Black was chasing him down. I have to say, it did look like Ryan was starting to own that one and just knock it back a little bit. And we're going to see Scott Smith onto the podium as Glenn Burtonshaw tries to go up the inside and does on Scott Hines. But brilliant stuff. Smith gets on the podium to take third place from Pino Palazzo, Glenn Burtonshaw, Scott Hines, Brent Bowie. Mark Beattie does come home in 8th place ahead of Jordan Hodgson and Max Poplioshku in 10th. Fabulous Legends racing. Unfortunately though, it was a DNF for Dan Clark in car number 14 there. Dan Clark with a bit of an issue. He will be back on Sunday though. Sunday final at Knockhill Racing Circuit sees Scott Smith on pole from Elby Clark. That's your front row, and conditions couldn't be any more different from yesterday. We were all sun-kissed in the sun yesterday. Look at us now. Lots of rain in the air as they follow Aaron Barron in the Knockhill safety car through that black circle chicane. Scott Smith on pole, which ultimately means he hasn't had a very good Sunday so far after a fabulous Saturday. Seeing him on the podium. Lights are on as they come up towards the line just now. Out go the lights and down to the hairpin they come for the first time of asking. The Scottish legends all accelerate away, and look at the plumes of spray coming off the cars just now as it hit the brakes for the first time. Oh, LB Clark round in a circle. Looks like she just locked the rears there, and a lovely bit of stunt driving as she goes in towards the hairpin, but thankfully not collected by anybody else as they head round towards Clark Corner for the first time of asking, that tricky corner which leads a lot of people into going in too quickly. And if you run out of road at Clark's, it really is a tricky one to get back on the track as they all just make their way down that off-camber, adverse camber corner before coming down to the Black Circle chicane. So Ryan McLeish now has got himself up into second place as Scott Smith, off he goes into the gravel. Oh, and the Seagulls had enough as well. It disappears, exit stage right across the screen there. And Scott Smith a little bit wide on the way in, bounces off the curb and round he goes. And Ryan McLeish will think that Christmas has just come for him because he's got to the front of the race and really done a little bit of overtaking on the first couple of corners, shall we say. But fabulous to see Ryan pulling away at the front now with clear traffic, and that's what you want, or clear road ahead of him with no traffic. That's what you're wanting. You don't have any spray coming back into the car. There'll be no water getting into any of the electrics and causing any misfires. To go through the hairpin. Let's look and see where Stuart Black is, because that is the man who is on for the championship, car number 52. There he goes through our screen just now, our shot. He's behind Chris Dewey in that luminous number 22, and Stuart Black, all he has to do is make sure he basically finishes the race and he'll pick up a few points. McLeish though is throwing absolutely everything at this, almost running out of road coming through Clark's. And look at the rain now as they come through the Black Circle chicane. Dan Clark takes out one bollard. Well, there you go. Scott Hines says, hold my beer, I'll take out every bollard as they come through there, and he does so as they make their way in towards McIntyre's. These are horrible, horrible conditions for Legend cars to be in just now. Remember, no windscreens and no side windows in these cars, so you get pretty wet. That's one thing for sure as they make their way up the main straight and underneath that Beatson's Building Supply Bridge once again. Scott Hines back towards the chicane when he managed to remove all the bollards and not one but two cars off in the background. That looks like Chris Dewey. Is that Stuart Black? Or is that Ben Bowie? So difficult to see from where we are just now as Dan Clark has a huge moment off the curb, as does Hines. Oh, and round goes Ben McNeice in the middle of the road. Thankfully Ben not collected by anybody and manages to keep the engine going and gets away pretty quickly from that one. You can see as they use that second curb at the chicane, it just makes the cars want to go round, and Ben McNeice off again at the chicane. Once bitten, twice very much into the grass. And he's going to have to try and rejoin there, and he does so right in front of the number 8 returning Jordan Hodgson for Cresta Racing. Great to see Jordan back here, but the chicane catching a lot of drivers out in its very slippy state. But these weather conditions are absolutely atrocious for these poor Legend drivers. We can see Chris Dewey again wanting to go into the gravel trap as he makes his way wide at the exit of Clark's Corner, and round goes number 53 in towards the gravel trap as well, Stuart Robertson. And the 4x4 version of the Legend manages to spin itself round and get back onto track. But a lot of drivers struggling in these conditions. There's Stuart Black, who's just making his way round. All he has to do is effectively come home and he'll be happy to pick up that 2023 championship right now as he makes his way down. Ryan McLeish behind Max Poplioscu just now in the number 95 red Cresta Racing 3-cylinder water-cooled engine, which is kind of what Ryan McLeish is in right now as well. He's getting cooled by the rain as he makes his way through McIntyre's and heads through Leslie's and back up onto the crest of Duffus. Oh, Chris Dewey fancies a spin now. Round he goes at the top of Duffus. Oh, that was absolutely perfect. Executed well. Back in the first gear and away he goes. Hardly loses any time, does Chris Dewey. And he and Scott Smith, well, they are very much on for the team championship as the checkered flag does come out, and it's Ryan McLeish who wins this one. And I think the checkered flag comes out at the perfect time because these conditions are absolutely awful for the poor Legend racers to be going around. Just look how dark that is, and remember the camera usually makes it that little bit brighter as well. But it's McLeish from Dan Clark and Scott Hines who gets on the podium on our last event of the year. Pino Palazzo, Stephen Traherne up there in 5th place with Glenn Burtonshaw, Scott Smith, Jordan Hodgson, Chris Lappett and Elby Clark in 10th place. And that is the Scottish Legends Championship for 2023. The championship goes the way of Stuart Black with Ryan McLeish coming home in second place and Pino Palazzo, the teammate to Ryan McLeish, in third. But it's all about Stuart Black. Once again, another championship. The winning margin at the end of the year, 70 points between Black and McLeish. We'll be back in 2024 for more Scottish Legends Championship racing. Please join us next year.